Hey there, this is Paul Leonard. My friend told me the other day that she grinds her own flour out of wheat because it's better, it's healthier, it tastes better, it's amazing. And I wasn't super convinced, so I researched it on the internet, and the internet seems to think that home ground flour is fantastic, but I was still having a hard time finding sources I could trust that I thought were being they were being fair and unbiased. So I decided to run my own test. I won't be able to figure out if it's healthier or not, but I will be able to decide if the bread is any different using home ground flour versus store-bought. So I'm going to make a French bread recipe from Life in the Loft House. It's a blog, I think, and it's their fabulous French bread recipe. So I'm going to make one loaf using this Hatap Dermenleri flour that I bought at the market, and the other is from the flour that was last night at my friend's house. I put it in the freezer overnight to preserve whatever you're trying to preserve in the flour. So we will see how it goes. I'll let you know in a little bit. Alright, so I have made the dough up to this point, followed the directions, and I'm just about to put them in the oven for a few baking periods. You have to change the temperature twice, I think. So far, you can see here, you can obviously see from the color that there's a difference between the two flours. This is the home ground flour. This is the store-bought flour. If you could touch them, you would notice that this flour is much smoother. Obviously, it's ground much finer, and I guess they take some of the parts out of the wheat, so you don't have those gritty bits. If you touch this one, it very much feels gritty. Not necessarily, I guess grit is a bad word, but it's not a bad thing, but you definitely notice the difference. Alright, time to stick them in the oven. So they are now done baking, and I think they both look really good. Obviously, the home ground flour loaf did not rise quite as much as the store-bought flour loaf, but it looks like a perfectly delicious loaf of bread. We'll check that out in just a few minutes. This is a professional taste tester. She's spent the last 2 hours reading the 4-Hour Chef, so she should be halfway to being a chef because she spent 2 hours reading it. It's the 4-Hour Chef. So it's by Timothy Ferriss, and he's okay, but I'm suspicious of him. I think he's a little gimmicky. Okay, as you can see, it's pretty obvious there's a color difference throughout the bread here. So I'm just going to give this a taste test, and then in a minute we're going to have a blind taste test as well. Alright. That's the home ground flour. Soft. Tastes like bread. It's not gritty. Pretty dense. Pretty dense. Now we're gonna try the white one. Interesting. Alright. Well, my blind taste tester is here, so I'm not going to say anything about that one. Alright. Okay, yeah, close your eyes. Okay, alright. This is my blind taste tester with her eyes closed. And so she doesn't know what this is. You just open your mouth and take that bread there. What can you tell us about that bread?
I like it.
Okay.
Got a little bit of a crunch on the crust.
Mm-hmm.
Tastes like nice bread.
Nice bread. Okay. All right. Close your eyes again. Let's be professional here. All right. This is the second bread here.
Mm-hmm.
This is no butter, no jam, plain bread. That's all. But it's pretty fresh out of the oven, which I think for any bread is gonna enhance.
I'd say this is the weedy one.
The wheaty one,
Tastes more.
a little more
wheat.
home ground. Okay.
Got a similar crust.
You got some crunch in the crust. You felt
A
like
bit,
with that one, yeah. Any
It's a deeper flavor.
a deeper flavor. Interesting. All right. Anything else?
It's just a little different taste.
Okay. Good. Well, you were correct. That was the weedy home ground one. I thought that the white bread crust was a little bit crunchier than the home ground crust. Was my only thing, and I'm assuming that the home ground bread is denser because it didn't rise as much. It seems like that's just going to infer that it's not as fluffy.
Yeah, the white crust is firmer. It's not bending where the wheat crust is bending.
A little more bend to it.
Yeah.
That's probably has to do with the.
Can I eat more?
Yeah, yeah, that was my side there.
Oh.
Probably has to do with the. What's that effect when you caramelize onions?
I don't know.
Oh,
You might have to knead it
it's in your
more.
book. Yeah, bit more kneading.
I don't know.
It did not rise very much. It was a pretty quick rise. I was surprised.
Oh,
Not a whole lot of rising involved with this one. So it was a particular recipe, so
they're great. They're both great.
we're very good breads. Alright. Well, there you go. Home ground wheat or store bought wheat are both great, apparently.
Thank you.